And this is technically a derivative of Snoobey's build. I want to make that clear and get that out of the way. Snoobey is also a YouTuber. I watched him for a little while to get some build ideas because I was really struggling for a little bit to determine what class I wanted to play, because I really wasn't having very much fun with my Stormweaver. So after seeing Snoobey do a Whirling slash Twister Deadeye, I decided to make one myself. I went with a different approach than he did. I have a shield. I'm actually using Hand of Wisdom in action because, one, they're really cheap, and they give you, if you have, 140 in, which you're gonna get anyway. If you have the Scepter, the Guiding Palm, you might as well put them on because it gives you like 77 or so, especially since mine are corrupted to give an extra lightning. It just kind of stacks up really nice. This build has, once you get all your tailwind stacks, about 69 evasion, 29 block, and 40 deflection chance, with essentially maxed out resistances. The chaos is one away from being max, whatever. Tornadoes, because I have retreat 3, can hit upwards of like 90,000 per tornado, DPS anyway, which is really nice. So I think retreat 3 works really well. Since I don't currently have Rekiatas, whatever, flow, where it inverts all the elemental resistances, I don't have that. I think that having the shield that doubles your accuracy, since the way that I built the Paragon tree, where I do take Falcon Dive, which stacks your accuracy rating, your attack speed rather, based off your accuracy rating per 250 accuracy rating, an accuracy rating of 11,703. That equates to 46% increased attack speed. So it's pretty crazy. It adds up really quick. And it really works out quite nicely. We also have a lot of dexterity because I wound up taking enhanced reflexes for the 8% increased dexterity. We take these nodes to get even more dexterity, especially this 25 dexterity node, especially since we're coming over here anyway to get Falcon Technique. It just makes sense to me to pick up all this other dexterity-based adders. I put that on just my general point allocation. I didn't put that on weapon set 1 or weapon set 2. Weapon set 2, I pretty much tried to make crit damage based. I really kind of could have done a few different things a little bit different in here, but I really didn't do that just because I wanted the attack speed for weapon set 1, but I needed the accuracy for weapon set 1 as well. So, and then I also needed the added damage for weapon set 2. So it was like, whatever, we're just going to make that for both and just be done with it. Realistically, I could have not taken these 2 points and put them someplace else. It might have made more sense, but I didn't, so whatever. I personally think that going down and grabbing attack speed nodes makes a little bit more sense, in my opinion. You really want the ailment chance. You want everything to be frozen, you want everything to get shocked, so you really need those. You blind everything all the time anyway, because Whirling Slash has 100% chance to blind. It does, actually, according to the tooltip there, and I do believe Twisters does as well. Yeah, blinding and repeatedly hitting enemies. So you're going to want the blind damage increase. It's just 3 points for a pretty substantial increase in damage. So you go over here and you grab the disorientation set. Pretty much the rest of this is pretty self-explanatory. You get Agile Secession because you're going to want the attack speed and the evasion rating. Subterfuge Mask because it's just more efficient and beneficial to grab a helmet that provides a large amount of energy shield, especially if you're going to be making your way up to increase max energy shield. It just makes sense to try and get a large pool to start with, to then have all these modifiers take effect and kind of, compound how much energy shield you're going to have for your character, so you're a little bit more I would go, and how I had it set up before I got Hands of Wisdom in action yesterday when I beat Zesht tier 3. So I had gloves that just had like 350 evasion. I had boots that had 750, I think, something evasion. I bought different boots because I wanted to rebalance everything, so I wanted to take a different belt so I could have a little bit more armor. Originally, it was a better belt. I corrupted it, and it kind of it took a big dot. But having a little bit of armor is pretty nice because you get a little bit of damage reduction without actually having to invest in, like, you know, Wind Ward, where you get 30% damage reduction if you have 10 full stacks of Tailwind. But obviously, if you don't have Tailwind, then you don't have any stacks, so that doesn't really work out so great if you get hit, and then you don't have them, and then it just all goes downhill. I would just set up the passive, or the Ascendancy tree in this method, so you get the Tailwind, and then you also get 50% a chance to gain an additional Frenzy charge when you gain a charge. And then I would also go with benefits from consuming Frenzy charges. For your skills have a 50% chance to be doubled. It really helps out with spitting out a ton of tornadoes with Barrage. And I would also take called shots, so you can just freely run around, not have to worry about casting marked skills or anything. It applies Sniper's Mark and Mark for Death, and those two alone are valid enough, in my opinion, to make everything exposed for your crit hits. And if you don't have Tangle Tongue, which if you're in the end game, I would not recommend running Tangle Tongue because it doesn't do enough damage. I would recommend getting a spear, and a Koyan spear if you're level 78 or higher, that has crit hit chance, crit hit damage, a decent amount of physical damage, and a decent amount of lightning damage or cold. I would probably aim for lightning over the cold. Mine has both because I crafted this spear actually, and it's I'm not going to bother trying to corrupt it because I made like 15 spears before this one. I corrupted all of them, and they all took a dive when they got corrupted. So I'm kind of burnt on corrupting things, which is why a lot of my stuff right now doesn't have corruptions. I corrupted these 2 rings, and I got lucky on them. They didn't really get that great of benefits, so it's like whatever. But you really do want the Guiding Palm to go in addition to your back bar spear, because I find that the Guiding Palm for the Purity of Lightning, which gives you extra lightning damage, helps really apply shock, which helps generate a lot more frenzy charges, because if you're fighting bosses trying to freeze them, it's just not a consistent means to do it. So if you have lightning variant, it'll be a lot better for fighting bosses, and bosses in this game are pretty much probably what you're really going to be wanting to focus on doing anyway, because you get a lot better items that way, in my personal opinion. So if you want to farm Hands of Wisdom in Action, although they're cheap as hell now, or if you want to farm some of the other boss specific items, you can do that. Obviously, if you're just going for straight clear speed, you can probably go with either the freezing or the lightning. It doesn't really matter all that much. But yeah, so you want to run cold shots, so you automatically apply marks as you're just going around doing things. I just put some random stuff in Ray Shield. I never actually use it, but having the shield is quite nice. You can get one that has a higher block chance than 29%, but I would recommend don't go any below that, because then it doesn't really seem to do a whole lot. Even at 29, I'm not really seeing it block a whole frequent amount, so there's that. But the attack speed difference that I noticed with going with this shield versus getting Dance with Death, and having a chance to block and gaining a little bit of armor, which doesn't really, I mean, it's like 3% or something that you get from like 161 or 163 armor, so it's, you know, almost negligible, but whatever. The other main benefit is, you know, the Dance with Death variant at 25% skill speed. I was able to like completely balance it out, so I didn't really notice a difference in the attack speed. I still get like a 0.12 attack time on Whirling Slash, which is perfectly adequate for me. I don't think I need to go any faster than that, really. It's plenty quick. If you want to go quicker, then you can figure out a different way to do this Paragon board, or the passive tree rather. And yeah, if it works better for you, it works better for you. But I also needed additional resistances, because I wound up going with, you know, rings that didn't have flat, you know, cold fire or chaos or whatever. They just went with all res, and then Yoke of Suffering gives you 15 all res as well, so it's just a lot of all resistances, but it lacks big specific resistances, which, you know, once you get into endgame, it really, you need more resistances. That's why, especially chaos, that's why I just went with the shield, so I could get 2 additional chaos plus 11% for the 22, and even with it on my belt and my boots and my helmet, it still is not enough to actually get me above or to 75%. So there's that struggle. I personally use, as far as movement, you might have noticed there is no movement speed bonus on my boots, and that's because I don't ever really walk anywhere. I just use Whirling Slash to go everywhere because it's way faster than ever walking is. And if you use Sky Sliver Winged Spear, which can be kind of expensive at times for one that has at least like a 24% increased attack speed modifier on it, so you can get at least the 2.1-ish attacks per second, which makes a pretty decent difference. I originally had one that was at 15 because I got it for like 2 exalts. It worked out okay, but this is definitely a faster way to do it. Then you just slot in one of the 5% increased attack speed soul cores, and you can really go flying very, very quickly throughout the maps. It's quite nice. The other reason why I went with a belt that had the 3 charm slots is because I wanted an additional slot so I could run a golden charm. I don't know. I think it kind of helps out sometimes. Sometimes not, because it only lasts for like a second, and it's kind of weird. But otherwise, I mean, this is a pretty cheap build to get going. The main thing to think about and to realize with this build is it is a build where you want to utilize the automatic weapon swapping. So when you're setting up your skills, make sure Whirling Slash is on weapon set 1, especially if you're running Gerwald's Veracity, because if you have it on weapon set 2, it doesn't get the same benefits it gets as if it's on weapon set weapon set 1. So with weapon set 1 being which one you have Whirling Slash to, it's important to focus on that, because then you actually get the 20% increase more attack speed versus just a 10% less. So if you have Whirling Slash on your number 2 and you're using Rigwall's Ferocity and you're wondering why you're moving so slow, it's because you don't have it set up right. Move it to the first weapon set 1, put your main attack one on weapon set 2, your twister, and make sure you disable it from being valid for use on weapon set 1. You don't want you don't ever want twister to populate or to act with your weapon set 1 weapon, because this weapon is very, very weak. So it's only there for movement and attack speed, and that's it, because your attack speed is your movement on this build. And then if you don't have Tangle Tongue, you will want a Garukan's Resolve, so you can get the bifurcate attacks with crit hits. So they attack, or each crit hit hits twice with this. So it essentially has the same functional, unique modifier that Tangle Tongue has, but you're able to apply it to a spear that can do a lot more damage. The spear actually, weirdly enough, has a higher crit hit chance than my Tangle Tongue did. So, because I had a really cheap Tangle Tongue when I was going through the campaign, and also the early maps. So, but once I got it upgraded to this spear, which I actually didn't even use the spear until a couple days ago. I was originally running with this spear, although I didn't have it corrupted at the time. Technically, I think this spear might even actually be better than the one I'm running, just because it has that extra 32% increased projectile speed, which I mean, the only thing that really sucks is that critical hit chance is really low on this one at 8.7 versus a 10.5. It's a big difference when it's a multiplier like that. But if you run projectile acceleration 3, then you automatically get with this gem increases and reductions to projectile speed also apply to the projectile damage with the supported skills, and it increases your projectile speed by 40%. So you're gaining 40% projectile damage in addition to having the projectile speed. And then I run Retreat 3 because, like I said, I don't have inverting resistances gem, the legacy gem. I don't have that one yet. So this allows, because you're always hitting things anyway with Whirling Slash. I mean, you're always going to be smacking into stuff with it. So you're always going to have at least a 2-second window in which you've done melee damage recently. So you'll get a 30% increased projectile damage. with this, which is really nice. Make sure they don't do any melee damage, but Twister doesn't do that anyway, so you're not actually losing out on anything. It doesn't do any melee damage. It's all projectile damage, so you're fine. And then Salvo allows you to hit, if you let it accumulate to 3, as you can see down here on the right, there's a stack counter for 3. It counts up like every couple seconds. It does take a little bit of time. It's a bit slow, but oh well. And as that's at stack count of 3, you get additional projectiles, which then multiply out with Barrage. So if you use Barrage, well, you also have 3 of those stacked up. So like, let's say we have, you know, just the I have to move 20 feet because of the stupid ferocity thing. Anyway, so you go ahead and do that. You get a couple of twisters, right? It's whoop-de-doo, right? You get Barrage, and then you hit it, you get even more twisters. Now you can accumulate even more frenzy charges because Barrage consumes frenzy charges to get even more twisters out. Definitely adds up pretty nicely. And you also want to quality it so you get a bit more damage. It'll give you just an insane amount of twisters. It'll cover the whole screen in twisters. If you have like 8 frenzy charges, you can get a +2 max right here, because normally the max is like 4 or something. Maybe it's 5. Maybe 5. I can't remember. But so you can get up to like 7 with that, and then you can get an additional one by taking this down here. The Frenetic will also give you a additional chance to gain a frenzy charge when you gain a charge, which stacks with the 50% chance over here to do the exact same thing. So you're really getting a lot more charges a lot more often. And your charges last a lot longer as you grab all of these, and there's even like the chance to not consume them, and you get an increased evasion rating when you consume frenzy charges. So it all just kind of stacks up. So your evasion goes up and everything. Now you might notice I've got quite a few of these passives within the area around Hollow Palm, because I got the From Nothing diamond, which has Hollow Palm as a technique that I can allocate around it without having to actually navigate to it. So I wind up taking Immortal Infamy for the max life on kill. I also take Immortal Thirst for the mana leech. And then I take Chakra Stability, so I get stun threshold per dexterity, as well as stun recovery. And I also regenerate the 3 max life, 3% of my maximum life over 1 second when I get stunned. And then I take Kite Runner, like I had said before. I take Staggering Palm, as said before. I use Distracted Target, so that way I can also get 50% increased critical chance against blinded targets, because I'm blinding everything all the time anyway. So it just stacks up. And then I just use this thing over here. Attack speed on my number 1 weapon set, because I wanted to try and get a little bit faster moving attacks. So I took it there. I also took this down here for the attack speed, and this here for the attack speed on weapon set 1. And then I took like I said, all these blinded buffs, and I also took these crit buffs on weapon set 2. And I took the crit chance and crit damage buffs down here along the spear track for weapon set 2. But otherwise, I don't really have a whole lot. I mean, I've only got like 13 out of the 24 and 13 out of the 24, whatever, allocated to individual things here. I think I also took this because I was trying to get to this, but I just can't quite make it there because I'm not high enough level yet. I would need to gain 1, 2, 3 more levels, so I need to be like level 97 because I'm 94 right now, which would be pretty far along. That'd be kind of crazy. But anyway, going back into it, so Barrage, though, you would want to run Perpetual Charge, you would want to run Heightened Charges, you would want to run Rapid Casting 2, Cooldown Recovery 2, and Efficiency 2. And you do want to run, you know, the same number, because like for projectile acceleration, if you're running number 2 or whatever, I don't think you get the increases and reductions to projectile speed as an additional thing. You just get the speed, which is like whatever. And then Rage 3, you want to make sure you get Rage 3 on your Whirling Slash, because Rage 3 helps if you're not at max stacks of Rage. it helps with an increased attack speed, so you can move quicker. You also want to go with Rapid Attacks 3 for Whirling Slash, because you don't use this for the damage at all. This is completely negligible. I had put it up to level 2, which is stupid. Just keep it at level 1. I also run Lightning Exposure, so things that I hit are then exposed to lightning, because I do a lot more lightning damage than I do cold damage, as you can see here. I'm doing essentially like 4 times the amount of lightning as I am cold. I'm even doing almost twice as much lightning as I am physical. So, and then you want to do knockback, so you can push everything away from you as you're moving, which stacks with the knockback from Staggering Palm. So there's some play there with that. If you need more deflection, or if you want more deflection, you can always try and get Wildcat. Wildcat's quite good for gaining a lot of deflection. It's quite nice. Also, because you get a huge increase to evasion rating while you're moving, so it helps really push it forward. You do want to run Ghost Dance. You don't need Ghost Dance on your back bar. You only need it on your front bar, because if you wind up swapping to the back bar, Ghost Dance, for whatever reason, carries over to it anyway. And then when you come back to bar 1, you don't lose any of your stacks. Like, for some reason, it's like bugged or something. I don't know. It's a nice little feature that you don't have to run it on both the back and the front to gain the benefit from it. You do want Combat Frenzy with Charge Perfusion 2, and you also want Precision 2, at least if you're following my build. If you're following Snoobay's, I don't think he runs this, except for, weirdly enough, in his Purity of Light, which is only on his back bar, so he doesn't really benefit from it as far as attack speed goes, but whatever. And then in the Purity of Light, I think I might have missed that, you want to run Clarity 2, Mysticism 1, Cannibalism 2, and Vitality 2, even though you're only ever actually having this thing active very infrequently if it's on your second bar. But it still helps out a little bit from time to time. And then Wind Dancer, you want to run with Maim, Pin 2, Magnified Area 1, and Blind 2. It really seems to work out quite nicely, so if you do get hit, you can blind things, pin them, and main them. Works out pretty nicely. The Companion, you want... and I forgot. Combat Frenzy, you want on both front and back. Wind Dancer, you want on both front and back. Charge Regulation is another thing you want to run, but you want that both the front and the back. This helps out with really giving you more benefit to your attack speed from frenzy charges. It's pretty apparent, and you also get more. If you can generate power charges, you get more crit chance, and you can also get, if you get endurance charges, increased defenses, which is pretty helpful, all things considered. And I suppose you could potentially get away with it with just it on the front and not run it on the back, but I don't know. I just run it on both. And then the Companion Frozen Mandibles you want only on the back bar, and you want to run Minion Mastery, Magnified Area 2, and Brutus Brain. And the Companion Frozen Mandibles, you can pick that up in the Interlude, third part, just outside the main town there, in the forest, in like the second section of the forest, if I recall. And it's in the back, like all the way at the end of it, and there's a checkpoint there, so you can actually just keep farming it until it has any type of combination of modifiers with Trail of Ice. Mine just has prevents recovery and proximity tangibility, which is garbage, but whatever. The Trail of Ice is the only thing that's really important on this. So when you go to your back bar, it'll put ice on the floor, and that'll turn all your tornadoes into cold tornadoes. So it's literally the only point to this, so you don't have to run Wicked Destruction boots, because those are garbage boots. They don't have like any resistances, and they're just really bad. So, and then Primal Strikes, I'm currently messing around with this as like, if I can't move, if I can't get enough movement around, because the stupid Guru cars or whatever, you have to move 20 meters before you can attack again with the skill. So your twisters become locked until you can move 20 meters, which is why having high movement speed is pretty helpful because it gets you to move quicker your 20 meters. I've been just messing around with this in case I ever get into a situation where I can't do any movement effectively. And it seems to work out okay. If you quality it, you get more attack speed because it's pretty slow as it is. And so you can get rapid attacks too, ice bite, innervate, cold exposure, and then potent exposure. So that way your cold exposure gets amplified. Realistically, it would be better to put like lightning exposure into it, but I don't hit things very frequently with primal strikes, so I'd rather have lightning exposure on Whirling Slash. That's just me. You can do whatever you want, but that's how I like it. It's been working out pretty good. At one point, I was just messing around with Spear Stab and putting like Armor Break and Maim and Pin, attack speed, and I forget what the other one was, but there was something else. I think it might have been Ice Bite, but I don't know. Maybe it was Innervate, but it worked out pretty decent, mostly because it also just didn't consume any mana, you know? So that was pretty helpful, and it does seem to do a little bit more damage, weirdly enough, than Primal Strikes, but it, there were certain occasions where it really wasn't working as intended or as I wanted it to, so I decided to throw this on instead. But yeah, so if you want to farm the trial or the ice trail aura mob, you want to go down to the Ashen Forest from the Glade. You can't attack in here, so I can't just quickly fly through it. I have to actually like slowly run my butt off to get through it. Go like all the way to the very end of it. I really don't care about any of these stupid mobs. They're too low a level to really do anything to me anyway. When you get all the way to the end of it, though, there will be a giant boss ant. And just make sure you don't kill him, and you can just continually farm him over and over again. See, there he is. Now he's got all damage shocks, then extra... Well, he's got an extra physical this time. That's cool. But anyway, if I can get one with enhanced physical aura, that'd be amazing. As well as the cold thing. And then, you know, you just make sure you apply the wisp to it. You know, make sure it's got the little wisps going around it, and then you have like a 10-second window to kill it. And if you kill it during that time frame, you'll capture it, and then it'll be your companion that you can call out. So I might as well try and farm a slightly better version of it, but that's pretty much the whole build. But what you want to do to do the attack, so like you're whirling around, right? So you're holding left mouse click, because I have Whirling Slash on left mouse. And then when you're ready to do your tornadoes, you want to basically stop moving, cast Barrage, and then throw the tornadoes out. And it'll just cover the whole screen and kill everything. That's pretty much all there is to it. Hopefully you find it helpful. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.